Flying is amazing, right? You're up in the air, high above the clouds, relaxing with your soda in hand, and then, bam! Someone leans on the cabin door, and suddenly, you start wondering, what if that thing just popped open? Well, don't worry. Today, we're busting some of the biggest aviation myths you probably thought about every time you've flown. From turbulence fears to the strange truth behind toilets in the sky, we'll uncover what's fact, what's fiction, and what's just plain ridiculous. So, let's start with the classic fear. Can a door really open mid-flight? It's one of those things that movies and TV shows love to exploit, making it look like the tiniest touch on the door handle could send the entire plane into chaos. But it's not happening. Like, not even in your wildest dreams. Or nightmares. At cruising altitude, the cabin is pressurized to mimic conditions at 8,000 feet, while outside the air pressure is near zero. That means there's an enormous pressure difference, around 8 pounds per square inch. To put that in perspective, you'd need to bench press over 24,000 pounds of force to pry that door open. Not happening. And even if you're the Hulk, modern planes are built with layered mechanical and hydraulic locks. These systems ensure the door is as secure as, well, a bank vault. Now, let's move on to a myth that's been flying around for years. Planes basically fly themselves, right? I mean, all you need is autopilot, and the pilots are just up there sipping coffee and catching up on the latest episode of their favorite show. Sounds like a dream job. But as much as I hate to ruin that image, that's not how it works. Autopilot is an incredible tool, sure, but it's exactly that, a tool. It helps maintain altitude, direction, and speed. But the pilots do the real heavy lifting. Takeoffs, 100% manual. Landings, usually manual too. Pilots are constantly adjusting for things like weather, air traffic instructions, and unexpected situations. And when things go wrong, like sudden turbulence or a mechanical issue, it's the pilots who step in to make critical decisions in a matter of seconds. Still not convinced?
Traffic to runway 4.
I don't think we can make any runway. What about over to our right? Anything in New Jersey, maybe Teterboro?
Okay, yeah, off your right side is Teterboro Airport.
Let's talk about the miracle on the Hudson in 2009. Captain Sully safely landed a plane on the Hudson River after a bird strike. That wasn't autopilot, that was pure pilot skill. All right, here's another one.
The FAA is investigating why a Delta flight with engine trouble dumped jet fuel over a 5-mile swath of Los Angeles, dousing dozens of children at several schools with toxic fuel. CNN's Nick Watt is live in LA with more. So how did this happen, Nick?
Planes dump fuel over cities all the time. I mean, the idea of jet fuel raining down in your backyard barbecue is pretty horrifying, right? But here's the truth. Fuel dumping is super rare and only happens in emergencies. Planes have a maximum takeoff weight and a lighter maximum landing weight. If they need to land shortly after takeoff, they may dump fuel to avoid structural damage. Interestingly, the fuel vaporizes before it even hits the ground. Planes are required to dump it at high altitudes where it disperses into the air. Incidents like the 2020 Los Angeles school fuel drop are exceptions, not the rule. And when they do happen, they're heavily investigated. So no, you don't need to carry an umbrella to dodge jet fuel. Okay, we've all heard this next one. Do airplanes dump waste mid-flight? It's a question that makes you cringe, but don't worry, the truth is a lot cleaner than the myth. Airplane toilets use a vacuum system. Yep, the loud whoosh you hear every time you flush. This system suctions waste into secure, sealed tanks located at the rear of the aircraft. These tanks are then emptied by ground crews after the plane lands. So, nothing is being released into the skies. But wait, what about that thing called blue ice? Good question. Blue ice refers to frozen waste that occasionally leaks from a plane's waste tank due to small valve malfunctions. Yes, there have been rare cases where chunks of blue ice have fallen from the sky and landed on people's property. But let me emphasize the word rare. Advances in waste tank technology have made them virtually non-existent in modern aviation. So, rest easy. You won't get hit by flying poo on your next vacation. Next up, if you've ever seen lightning hit a plane, it looks terrifying. But is it dangerous? Not really. Planes are basically flying Faraday cages, designed to channel electricity around the exterior without affecting the inside. Fun fact here, the average commercial plane gets struck by lightning about once a year. And of course, they're built to handle it. Engineers test planes by zapping them with artificial lightning before they're certified. While we're at it, let's tackle turbulence as well. Ever felt it and thought, this is it, we're going down? Relax. Turbulence, while annoying, isn't dangerous. It's simply irregular airflow caused by things like weather systems, jet streams, or even the wake of another aircraft. Think of it like bumps on a road. Annoying, but not a sign that your car is falling apart. The same logic applies to planes. They're designed to endure 150% of the worst-case scenario forces they might encounter in flight. If you want to learn more about turbulence, check out our recent dedicated video on it on our channel. We've covered everything. Alright, let's talk money. You know that moment when you're buying a flight ticket and the price feels like it's skyrocketed overnight? You start wondering, are airlines sneaking in extra charges for fuel savings? I mean, how else do they justify some of those prices, right? So let's break it down because this myth deserves a proper reality check. Ticket prices are calculated based on a lot of factors, but fuel is just one part of the equation. Airlines also have to cover things like aircraft maintenance, staff salaries, airport fees, and even those tiny peanuts they hand out. And yes, fuel surcharges are real, but they're not some underhanded scheme. Jet fuel is incredibly expensive, accounting for about 20 to 30% of an airline's operating costs. When global oil prices rise, airlines might introduce temporary fuel surcharges to offset the increase. But these are usually clearly disclosed in the ticket price, so it's not as shady as it sounds. Modern airplanes, like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner and the Airbus A350, are designed to be incredibly fuel efficient, and some of these new aircraft are up to 25% more fuel efficient. Still, maybe one day airliners will start charging for the oxygen we breathe on board. Until then, you're safe. Moving on to water landings. Hollywood loves to paint these as either miraculous or utterly catastrophic. But what's the truth? If your plane lands in water, what are your chances of survival? The miracle on the Hudson is proof that skill and preparation save lives. All 155 passengers and crew survived because of training, quick thinking, and teamwork. Planes are equipped with life vests, rafts, and well-trained crews for such scenarios. That said, survival depends on more than just the plane or the crew. Conditions like calm seas, rough waters, or proximity to rescue services all play a role. But even in less than ideal situations, safety measures like emergency beacons and flotation devices greatly improve survival rates. If you're ever in this situation, pay attention to the safety briefing. I know. It's tempting to tune out, but that quick demo about life vests and exits could make all the difference. Alright, let's take a deep breath, because the next myth is about the air you're breathing on a plane. People often assume cabin air is stale, recycled, and downright unhealthy. Like, are you just breathing the same air someone sneezed into 4 hours ago? Actually, it's cleaner than the air in most homes and offices. Planes use HEPA filters that remove 99.97% of airborne particles, including viruses. And if you're still skeptical, the air on a plane is refreshed every 2 to 3 minutes. Compare that to your office, where the air might get recycled every hour, if you're lucky. So yeah, when it comes to air quality, you might actually be better off at 35,000 feet than at your desk. Next, let's end with a common myth. Do pilots actually sleep while flying? Because if they do, that's both comforting and mildly terrifying, isn't it? The answer is yes, but let me explain before you start Googling alternative ways to travel. On long-haul flights, pilots are allowed to take controlled rest breaks. It's called controlled rest for a reason. It's done under strict rules. There's always at least one pilot fully awake and in charge, and autopilot is handling routine operations while they're resting. On flights with multiple crew members, pilots rotate shifts to ensure that everyone is rested and alert when it really matters, like during takeoff, landing, or in emergencies. So, wouldn't you rather they take a quick power nap than rely on caffeine to land the plane? And that's a wrap. So what's the wildest flying myth you ever heard? Drop it in the comments. We might just include it in a future video of part 2. Before you go, don't forget to check out the recent video, The Untold Story of Concorde's Supersonic Rivalry. Keep flying high with us, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and be ready for more stories that defy the skies.